Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Chokni, this is Eat So Many Cakes and we're here in the Ebony Flask Inn Room in Ebonheart, Stonefalls. Why am I here today and not in my usual Grand Sijic Villa? That's because Mirri has a quest for us and she's not available in my house to go talk to, so we're going to pop outside and go talk with her.
I got a letter from my father about my mother, Irenni. She's gone missing. She has a habit of running off on an adventure at the drop of a hat and being gone for weeks at a time, but Dad says she's been out of touch for a while now. He's worried.
Your mother is an adventurer?
It runs in the family. Well, Mom's side. Dad's a halalu trader she partnered with for years before settling down. Mostly settling down. She'd acquire all sorts of rare items for their clients, but my father said they haven't had any commissions.
Any idea where she may have gone?
Mom neglected to mention it, I'm sure, but my father mentioned getting an angry letter from one of their old clients at the Stormhold Mages Guild, claiming she reneged on their arrangement after taking payment. Would you mind if we pay them a visit?
Sure, I'll help you find your mother.
Dad's letter said that the one raising a stink was an old client of theirs named Mirtulvion, a member of the Stormhold Mages Guild. Let's get to Shadowfen and see just what sort of trouble Mom got herself into this time.
I take it this isn't the first time you've had to go chasing after her.
It's that obvious, eh? When Mom's in one of her flighty moods, it usually sorts itself out, but sometimes she gets so wrapped up in something it becomes an obsession. Someone has to talk some sense into her, and that someone is usually me.
Why does it always fall to you?
I got my mom's knack for adventure and my dad's level-headedness, so I'm the only one who's both crazy enough to go after her and sane enough to talk some sense into her. I also happen to be their eldest child, so it's my filial duty to the house.
Do you have a lot of family obligations?
Not so much. Our family is of little consequence, so we're free to be a bunch of impetuous miscreants chasing our own whims. If I'd been born to one of the great houses, I'd either be a pawn in their schemes, or a disappointment, like Father.
Your father's a disappointment?
He's a seventh son of a seventh son in House Halalu, so he wasn't going to amount to anything without climbing over his siblings. Dad's too sweet for that, so we wound up marrying into our little house for something as unprofitable as love.
Have you ever been to Stormhold?
We lived there for a good few years when I was young. It was awkward at times. Argonians don't trust dark elves, for good reason. I like to think my parents showed them different, but not everyone warmed up to us.
You can hardly blame my people for being wary of dark elves.
I know. It just ashes my hide that a few rotten fetchers ruined it for the rest of us. That's not quite the truth. It's easy to blame it all on House Drez and the Telvanni, but they weren't the only ones keeping slaves before the Pact.
Did your family keep slaves?
No. My mom and dad never approved of it. I even had a cousin who was forced into servitude, and they helped my uncle free him at great risk to themselves. But our ancestors, I don't know.
That would be a good place to start rebuilding trust.
I really should. I've spent my life digging through all sorts of obscure history, and I've never really thought to look into my own. Embarrassing, really. Well, that'll have to wait until after we've tracked down my mother, though.
That burden's on them, it's not yours.
Yeah, I suppose. I just feel foolish for taking our innocence for granted. If my ancestors weren't guiltless, I'll just have to be better than them. That's all there is to it. I can start by getting my mother to act more responsibly.
Stormhold is in Shadowfen and it's easily accessible through the Stormhold Way Shrine.
Off we go!
You hear the vice cannons rooted out a Dominion camp in those Daedric ruins?
That high elf matches Mirtulvion's description. Ask him if he's seen Irenni Eldenis. I should probably hang back. Dad's letter claimed old Mirt over there was highly peeved about whatever deal he made with my mother falling through. I just assume avoid catching an earful, so if you could ask about Irenni as a neutral party, he may be more willing to cooperate.
Do I know you? I don't believe I do.
Did you meet with Irenni Eldenis recently?
I don't see how that's any of your affair. But if you must know, I did cross paths with that unscrupulous dark elf, and I'm worse for it. What's your interest in Irenni? I suppose she cheated you as well.
She cheated you?
She came to me seeking information, and given our long-standing association, I entrusted her with it on the assurance that she would do me a simple favor in return. Instead, she ran off and played me for a fool. No one makes a fool of me.
I really need to find Irenni.
And I really need the antique inkpot she promised to procure. I'll tell you what I told Irenni, but only after my inkpot is returned to me and not a moment sooner. I'll not have my good faith taken advantage of again.
All right, you have a deal.
My Inkwell is currently in the possession of a banker here, the result of an ill-advised card game. They seem to enjoy lauding their victory over me, so they refuse to part with it at any price. I want it returned. I don't care how.
Why is this Inkwell worth so much trouble to you?
It's one of a kind. The first work of the current Sapiarch of Shape and Form when they were still a student. Irreplaceable. I never thought an Argonian would beat me at the cards, but the banker has more of a head for numbers than I expected.
If it was so important to you, why did you wager it?
I didn't. I just got so thoroughly thrashed at the table that I needed to offer collateral. Underroot must have known what a singular treasure it is. Now that she has it in her greedy claws, she'll never let it go. Willingly, anyway. My Inkwell is currently in the possession of a banker here. The result...
I caught the gist of that. That Sweat actually wanted my mom to rob a bank. I'm glad she had enough sense not to go through with it. Unless the reason we haven't heard from her is because she's in jail. No, she wouldn't.
You don't sound so sure.
I mean, adventuring can be dirty business. My family is nothing but a bunch of no-good tomb robbers, depending on who you ask. But there's a big difference between digging through old ruins for treasure and outright stealing.
Do you think she might really be in jail?
No. If that were the case, she'd have written my father to pay her bounty. And while he should let her sit and learn her lesson, he's too much of a softie. She probably ran off like Mirt said. So now it's us who have to get our hands dirty.
Maybe not. We'll figure something out.
Let's hope so. But if we do wind up breaking the law, we could have a worse partner in crime. You're a good friend.
Let's pay a visit to the bank.
I can't believe I have to steal from a bank for my own fetching mother. This is why no one takes our house seriously.
My Inkwell is currently...
Act casual, just two people admiring the decorations. Oh, this is such a nice bank, isn't it? Oh, such refined taste.
Barge in, why don't you? It's not like I'm trying to work. This is a private office. Well, as private as an office could be that has no door or walls and barely fits a desk. I used to work in a much larger bank.
I'm just admiring the decor.
Of course you are. Let me guess. Mirtulvion's still trying to get his antique Inkwell back. I swear, ever since Underroot won that cursed thing, it's been one bother after another. I suppose it makes a nice distraction from the tedium.
I hear gold makes a pleasant distraction. Maybe you could count yours somewhere else?
Not much of a windfall, but I suppose it'll take me a moment or two to update my ledger. I'm sure you can see yourself out.
We won't keep you.
I'll just be over here counting my gold.
He didn't move very far. Oh, that's the desk. I'm not trying to... Do I actually... Oh, there it is. Wait. Who are you? That was a bit
Got it?
random.
Let's not overstay our welcome. Mert better have worthwhile information about my mother, or I might need to add assault to my list of crimes for the day.
Dare I ask, is the deed done? Is my little treasure to be returned to me at last?
Here's your inkwell. Is it really that valuable?
Do you have any idea how rare it is for a creation this ugly to survive on Somerset? Let alone one made by the premier authority on sculpture? I even had the original assignment's written grade. Barely satisfactory. It's priceless.
Right, so tell me about your meeting with Irenni Eldenis.
At least Irenni had an appreciation for rarities. I sent her to meet another antiquity hunter I deal with who made a discovery in Stone Falls that Irenni would be interested in. Too interested.
Who did you send her to meet?
Edvilda Stonestalker. She was probing my interest in Dwemer relics. I've no interest in it, but I knew Irenni has an unhealthy interest in them. She was camped near Steenfont, last I heard. That's all I can tell you, so our business is concluded.
Steamfond. I know of it. Dwemer ruins repurposed by some resourceful types for perfecting certain kinds of crafts. Never had reason to go there myself. It shouldn't be too hard to find, though. Let's head to Stonefalls before Edvilda moves on.
As pleased as I am by the return of my antique, I do believe that our business was successfully concluded. I have no further use for you, so toddle off to Steenfont and leave me to my business.
Travel to Davon's Watchway Shrine, and then just head west to the Steamfont Cavern.
Is this Edvilda? Someone killed her! Let's search the camp. Here! Let's combine strengths. didn't really expect to find my mother here, but I at least thought Edvilda would be able to tell us where she went. We have to find out what happened here.
I did think about moving her, but this is hilarious. Look at that gaze she's given me through the grass, I guess?
Mom's scarf! Liam gave that to her last new life, when she was headed to Skyrim for the Snow Bear plunge. She wouldn't have left it. I didn't really expect to find my mother here, but I at least thought I'd...
Better stay out of the rift for a bit. Not that I did anything wrong, but some Nords are so touchy about old shrines in barrows. Still, the small figure pieces I managed to scavenge will fetch a pretty price from the right collectors. One tiny mammoth figure, ivory carved. Two tinier mammoth figures, also carved ivory, a bit ironic when I think about it. One small bear, figure. Could be a skeever for all I know. The wood's been gnawed badly. Do Draugr tea? I don't want to stay in Stonefalls too long. Smells like the armpit of Mehrunes Dagon, or at least how I'd imagine Dagon's armpit would smell. But this steam-font place seems safe enough for camp, as far as dwarven ruins go. I wanted to try my luck scavenging at the Inner Sea Armature, but I heard that there are bandits hiding there now. I should be far enough away that they won't bother me, but damn if that isn't my luck. That map I bought from Mert is already paying off. No big scores yet, but I found some old pottery I can sell to a historian. A small vase, unusual markings, 1E maybe? We'll need to research, have a couple of buyers who like this sort of thing, make up something if I have to. Changed my mind, this map hasn't led me to anything worth half what I paid for it. Think I'm going to do some snooping around the armature after all. Bandits won't miss any old dwarven junk. Damn it, there were a ton of bandits down that sodding hole. Helped myself to some of their rations, but I couldn't risk poking around. Okay, take you, Mert. If I hadn't spent my last gold on your map, I could catch a ferry somewhere out of this axe pit. Anywhere. Remembered Mert used to work with a dark elf who was keen on dwarven junk. Said she'd pay a small fortune for leads on a dwarf puzzle box. Going to get Mert to send her my way and put some gold in my pocket. If she happens to clear out those bandits, all the better for me.
Did Edvilda write down anything important?
I just read it out to you.
Mom was definitely here. She had to have gone in a hurry if she left this scarf behind. Did Edvilda write down anything that would clue us in on where my mother's gone?
It looks like Edvilda was trying to sell your mother false information about a puzzle box.
Oh, not that fetching thing again! Mom. She's been chasing after my grandfather's Dwemer puzzle box for decades. Ever since the old Mer joined our ancestors at the tomb. It's her obsession. Don't tell me they got into a fight over it.
Edvilda planned to send Irenni to the Inner Sea Armature, which is full of bandits.
Great. Just great. So the shifty Nord met my mother out here and ran afoul of bandits? That explains what happened to Edvilda, but Mom's not here, thank feck. But if she'd escaped, we'd have heard from her, right? They must have taken her captive.
Then let's head to the Inner Sea Armature and look for her.
I've never been to the Inner Sea Armature. It must not be too far from Edvilda's camp. 3. I hope Mum's all right.
The famous Inner Sea Armature, not very far from here, just keep going a bit northwest from the looks of it.
Dwarven pipes! By that cave! This looks promising. I've never been to the Inner Sea Armature.
I do enjoy coming to these places because there's so much stuff you can loot. I'm going to try and resist for the video.
I swear, if these Swits have done anything to my mother, I'll... well, you'll fetching see.
Go around!
Mirri? Mirri, am I glad to see you, Scrib. Get me out of these shackles.
Mom, do you have any fetching idea how worried I... Wait, are you cooking? I don't know what I expected. Whatever it was, it didn't include my mother making a fetching cake.
Don't mind Mirri. She takes too much after her father. I've been dying to finally meet the person my daughter's been adventuring with. Though I hadn't planned on being chained up like a common criminal upon our first meeting.
How did you wind up like this?
I was negotiating a lead from a contact I met out by Steamfont, and talks got a little heated. She was trying to take me for a ride, I could tell, and we must have caught the attention of these feckless Swits. They tried to rob us.
Is that how Edvilda died?
She tried to make a run for it, and they cut her down without a second thought. Figured I'd take my chances with another approach. Offered to be their cook if they spared my life. Fortunately, they aren't picky. I was beginning to run out of recipes.
We probably shouldn't linger here.
No, I suppose not. Won't be long before one of these fools gets bored or hungry and comes to swipe something from the pantry. You've done a fine job looking after Mirri, so I'll follow your lead. But don't think we're done talking.
Let's go.
Can we please just get out of here now? Let's just get out of this dump. We can talk outside.
Don't hover over me like a mother netch. I can keep up with you two youngings.
I love how embarrassed Mirri actually sounds throughout this whole interaction.
Did you meet the new commander? Circle around!
Off with you, Swit!
Nicely done. I can see why you like them, Mirri.
Don't think you're free and clear just because we escaped the bandits. What were you thinking?
Oh, come now, Mirri. I've been doing this since before you were in diapers.
And you're not getting any younger. We almost lost Liam, and you nearly lost this. Would you trade it for that stupid puzzle box?
Liam's scarf? Mirri, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I worried you all. It's just... I'll let it go.
We love you, Mom. We're your family. Go home.
Well, now I feel the fool. I made you all worry. Dragged you into this mess. Sorry to be such a pain in the arse, as my daughter would put it.
Does this mean you're going to stop running off on a whim?
Maybe it's time I hung up my adventurer's ruck and settled in with my worrywart of a husband. I just hate leaving things unfinished.
Why is this puzzle box so important to you?
It was my father's prized possession. He spent decades trying to unravel its mysteries, until it was stolen from him. Then he spent the rest of his life trying to get it back, and most of mine after he died. I thought it might finally make him happy.
I know it probably seems like I'm being harsh, but Mum's been at this more times than I can count. She promises to give up on it, but then she catches some whiff of a lead about that damn box and she's off like a race squaw.
At least she's alright.
This time, death was the only thing that stopped my grandfather from chasing after that stupid trinket. I don't want it to be the same for her. You can only keep rolling the dice in this life for so long.
Do you think she'll really give it up this time?
I hope so. Probably not. But I've weighed her down with enough guilt to hold her for a little while at least. Either way, sorry for dragging you into my family drama.
Should we make sure your mother returns home safely?
Are you kidding? If I don't get you out of here, she'll make you meet the entire extended family. Davin's watch is just down the road. She can make her way home from there. Thank you for putting up with all this. I'll make it up to you.
I get a neatly pressed envelope.
I have another favor to ask, if it's not too much trouble.
Well, this little misadventure wasn't a total wash. I did finally get to meet you. Don't be a stranger now. I'll expect Mirri to bring you by for tea and biscuits. Her father has a source for the best scrib jelly in Mournhold.
Of course I'm going to meet the family. I love tea and biscuits. Is it a quest item? No. This envelope contains a couple of treasure maps that Mirri thought you might enjoy hunting for. I love treasure maps. Ah, I've already got that one on me. I do have a lot. Thank you all very much for watching the video. I do notice that my cake is on an angle. This is the 6th time that I've tried to summon the cake, and I'm just going to go ahead and eat it. What did you all think of the quest? I found it quite poignant. You could see that the mum had trouble with the fact that her father was chasing after something all his life, and then it went over into her life as well, and now it's going into Mirri's life. It just seems to be a ball, or in this case a dwarven puzzle box, that just keeps rolling, and it looks like this is going to be where the story for Mirri takes us, to potentially finding this dwarven puzzle box. I don't know, I'm going to have to do the rest of the quest to find out. But I like Mirri as a companion. I like the fact we got to meet her mother, and that we've been invited over for tea and biscuits. Maybe I'll bring over a slice of cake. But thank you all very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and take care everybody.